preview here with the LHE applied, and I can toggle before and after with the Control-Shift-Z. And it's quite a noticeable difference. Obviously, you take a lot more time and care for the settings that you use. This, I think, looks really bad. A bit aggressive. I just did something. So that pretty much wraps up the most basic workflow that I would probably do for some DSLR data. Seem to have run a little fast. So yeah, I think.
Quick question while you took that time.
Sorry?
Is all your noise reduction being done linear, or do you do non-linear?
There is, yeah, most of my noise reduction is done in a linear state. You can, there's a bit of a technique where you perform a small stretch, do some noise reduction, and then stretch your image some more, and then perform a bit more. But I think there's probably techniques on how to do it in the non-linear state as well. I think if we go to process, noise reduction, ACD NR, I think that works best in the non-linear state, the prominence noise.
But the process to apply is much like the process to apply the other processes you've already...
Sorry?
The process to use it is much like the other processes you have demonstrated?
Yeah, so for linear noise reduction that I usually do, it's fairly simple. I think the first few steps is I duplicate the image by right-click duplicating, or actually I believe I extract the luminance of the image, so I might hit that button. And of course this takes forever. But once I have my luminance, I would sort of stretch it up a bit. I would then create some masks from it. I'd apply the masks back onto the integration image. I could then go to, say, noise reduction, and the first one that I like to use is PGV denoise. You sort of just alter settings and you'd apply it to your image. So it's, everything kind of works the same in PixInsight in that sense. It comes down to really just getting finicky with the masks and how you stretch and so forth. Yeah.
Can you go back a stage or 2 or 3?
Yep.
Or can you be selective about it?
So there's a thing called History Explorer at the bottom left. So I can select the integration here. And it shows us a list of everything we've done. So we started with our image, we cropped it, we did the color calibration, background extraction to fix the gradients, we stretched it, applied a contrast curve, saturation curve, and then the SCNR to get rid of that grain cast. I'm not sure if I can actually go back via here. I think you can click and drag, and this creates an icon which represents the settings that you used at that stage. So it may be useful if you have another image that you want to crop with the exact same crop settings. But I can go back by hitting the undo button. If I just go back through all the steps. That's one way to do it. So there's our original image. So I guess we'll just reiterate through. We cropped the edges, we color calibrated it, we subtracted the background, which also fixed the gradients, and you'll notice that the background does get a lot darker here. We haven't clipped the background, but the background has become a lot more darker. We then stretched our image, so our image is now non-linear. We applied a contrast curve, saturation curve, and I see now. Yeah.
Is there an equivalent to that color calibration function in Photoshop?
I've no idea. I've never used Photoshop.
Anybody know?
You mean balancing the channels?
Yeah. One trick you could do is
I just use histogram to balance.
Yeah,
I tried that. I just kept getting messy.
For PixInsight, you can actually call up the stats of the image, and you can see the distribution of each color.
Yeah.
and then you can just do it using the midpoint.
Yeah, my trouble with using maximum Photoshop is that sometimes the colours come out a bit wrong, and I spend a lot of time fiddling with the levels and to try and fix it to match what I see on the internet. Like you've got an open cluster, and you know one star is supposed to be orange, and the rest of them are blue, and you're trying to get that, but you can't quite do it because everything gets getting wonky.
That kind of thing is exactly why PixInsight's so popular, because Photoshop, you're pretty much making, Photoshop is purely a visual tool, so when you're going and doing stuff, you're trying to make it match it, but you don't have as much control.
Yeah.
It's much harder to control.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating.
Why these scripts, all these packages of scripts appear in Photoshop that do a lot of stuff for you, because it's really hard to do it yourself.
What, in Photoshop or PixInsight?
Photoshop. It's why you have so many action sets in Photoshop, but which is just like posting here, you look crude and you have less control.
Yeah, maybe I need to find some more action sets.
Pardon?
Maybe I need to find some more action sets.
Oh yeah, the astrophotography tool set is.
You got that one, and Annie's Astro
Yeah,
tools.
that's very good. Those are the two most popular ones, but there are a few others around. But yeah, understanding channels in Photoshop is extremely powerful, but extremely difficult to get your head around.
Yeah.
It's not really any help because Photoshop is not made for this kind of work,
No.
and none of the stuff you'll find on the internet will tell you how to understand channels from a perspective of astronomy.
Yeah,
But how do you know what is correct?
that's the thing.
It's all subjective, to be honest.
You calibrating against what?
Well, this is exactly the point about the linear stuff. You calibrate, you're working with linear data, you're not messing with that. But yeah, once you start balancing the channels, you are applying your own idea.
Interpretation, yeah.
Partly, some of that is actually mathematically correcting for the camera being, or camera filters not giving an even illumination or different parameters. And you can find out what those are, and you can apply your stuff in PixInsight according to rules based on what you already know, I'm sure, based on the actual characteristics. But once you reach the point of having the first stage, the calibration of the image and the integration of the image, is the stage at which you're doing that. Really, once you've got past that point, you're into, you reach a point where you're trying to make it look nice, don't you?
Maybe I'm doing it at the wrong place then, doing the colour balance after the integration. Should be doing it the other way around?
Partly,
No.
certainly you can, there are, for instance, if your camera has if the red channel is dominant, then you can adjust for that in your integration, stacking integration and calibration stage. For sure, in the integration you can compensate out for the fact that there's that camera, you should only have 0.9 on the green. You find it at maxim, you'll find it in DPI stacker. I don't know the process here, but it's certainly part of the integration workflow you'll be able to do that. But it's very systematic to your camera though. Some cameras are.
I think it's a bit silly to be chasing what is real color because your camera, well, as soon as the photon hits your camera, it's automatically the wrong signal compared to your eye because our response is completely different. But if you really do want some sort of exact thing, if you go to process, color calibration, there's this thing called photometric color calibration, and this lets you specify the white reference. You can, I believe it analyzes the star in your images, and I think you tell this process, actually I believe that plate solves it, so it knows which stars are which, so it knows which stars are what types of stars, and based on that, it can calculate the proper white point of her image and color calibrate it that way. But it's a bit finicky to use, and I haven't really bothered. As with anything in this program, you could just look up a tutorial how to use photometric color calibration. But
Liam, while you're on the colour calibration there again, have you compared the method that you used, that linear fit, with the other colour calibration methods there? That's the one I usually use, is the colour calibration.
That one, yeah.
Yeah,
I've used linear fit and color calibration. I think I tried PCC once, but couldn't get it to work. Color calibration works fairly well as well.
The other method that I've been using is to do the dynamic background extraction first, and then do the. Can you just go to the colour calibration menu there and use the background neutralisation,
Right.
and then the colour calibration. That seems to work pretty well.
Right. Yeah, I need to investigate background visualization. It seems to be something that a lot of people use in their workflow. Yeah, I should really clarify that what I've shown you isn't what you need to do for an image. Like, everyone has their own sort of workflow, but the general gist is that you have a structure where you do your linear processing, stretch, and then your non-linear processing.
There's one of my favourite functions in the Astro tools is called Enhanced Star Color, which basically tries to enhance the star color based on what data is in the star's image. Is there a function like that in Photoshop? I mean, PixInsight.
I think there's something like color saturation. I think
Just affects the stars.
just the stars.
Mm.
No, I'm not sure. If it's a custom-made script, there's probably a script made
Mm-hmm.
for it, for PixInsight. So I just loaded up the backup project because I actually accidentally screwed up the previous image. So this looks rather terrible. One thing I actually did want to show is if you go to script, you might not have this in your own PixInsight copy, and it looks like I actually don't have it either. Oops. The point is you can download scripts that other people make, and some very useful scripts out there. There's one called Advanced Sharpening, which I recently discovered, and it's quite nice.
Mm.
Another very popular one here is Dark Structure Enhance.
Ah, that's funny for you. Yeah, that would be for the dark lanes.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. There's this one down here called Repaired HSV Separation. So a couple of people might have noticed, I think it was my M42 image a couple months ago, had
Yep.
really pink cores in the stars. I used that to fix it.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think that basically wraps up the basic workflow. If you do want to use that workflow, feel free. You can add things to it, and if there's something that doesn't make sense, you can easily just search up a tutorial on any of these processes that are listed there. And yeah.
Cool. Mark, thanks, Ollie. That's really good. Yeah, from my perspective, that actually makes it a lot simpler to see that essentially the process you're following, as compared to the process I'm following in Photoshop, is not so very different. It's just a little more systematic. Some of the tools are one tool where you're putting in your adjustment numbers and getting the response rather than half a dozen steps in Photoshop and messing around with the image. So that's I mean, I can see that would take me less time to do what you just did than to do the same thing to that image in Photoshop for sure.
Yeah.
And I would expect I could probably get that image out in Photoshop,
Yeah.
but
More effort.
though I know it doesn't look as good on the projector as it does in reality, that's not the projector doesn't show the image looking good. But it would take a while, lots of messing around, especially with the background, fiddling around trying to get rid of the background. So it seems to handle that really well.
Yeah. I think Photoshop, I wouldn't dismiss it completely. Like, you can acquire the same sort of quality image, but the site is a really nice tool with it.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
Gets you there quickly.
I was going to say the other thing with Maxim and Photoshop is Maxim only gives you about 16-bit, whereas you're working with 64. Were you using what? 64, 32-bit?
32.
The stack's 32-bit.
yeah, and you would, if you were using PixInsight, I presume you would not do integration in Maxim. You would just use Maxim to produce your core images, your raw images, your fits.
For acquisition, maybe.
And then
But
when you
Maxim's-
bring them in and you bring the fits in from, say, Maxim or whatever you're capturing from, fits or raws or whatever, during the integration stage, it will then turn into an EXIF file which combines all that together. You can, I believe you can stick with fits files throughout pretty much, can't you?
You can, but like, why would
Nobody
you?
does, I think, because
No,
it's
it's
just
prehistoric.
the new
format, to
format
be
is much
honest.
better. So first step is to get your images calibrated and integrated into a integrated EXIF file, and then you've got something to play with. I mean, I only played with it briefly through the trial, and I've still, even though I ran out of trial and stopped using it, I was still getting better images out than I was getting in Photoshop, and that was just playing around for a couple of days with the trial. So what you'd be able to do with time and practice, no question. The other area where Liam hasn't touched on, which obviously because it's mainly to do with the integration and calibration, I guess, is the narrowband. Increasing numbers of people, even if you're using SLR, using narrowband filters, and the ability of this to handle that is just vastly superior to what you try and do in Photoshop. Trying to get your narrowband images into a good quality combined image in Photoshop is, if you've done it, I know it's a nightmare, because it's just so awkward handling all the channels and getting it nice.
Yeah.
So this does a super job.
Yeah.
As you've seen from the images Liam's been producing, which are coming out of a 3-colour narrowband set.
I suppose the other thing with Photoshop, with PixInsight versus Photoshop, is with Photoshop you're usually working on a TIFF, not a whatever form. What format is PixInsight using?
XISF. I mean,
The XISF contains a huge amount of additional information, which the TIFF just an image.
yeah.
That might be part of my
That's what it
problem
comes
then.
down to, isn't it? But there's nothing wrong with TIFF. 32-bit TIFF is
There are 32-bit TIFFs, and
32-bit TIFF often comes out of the deep sky stacker by default.
when you save an image here,
There's nothing wrong with those.
No.
Because they're good, solid 32-bit data, but there's no space for all the additional understanding of astronomical images that something like the X operating handles.
I can save it as a TIFF, right? And I can specify the bit depth I want. And so there technically is no difference between the image quality between a 32-bit TIFF and a 32-bit XISF. XISF is just their format that they like to use inside PixInsight. You can just bring in any sort of stack from any stacker if you really want, and process it in PixInsight.
But once you start processing, you'll save it as the internal format image.
If I want to go back at it again, sure.
Yeah.
But if I'm publishing, I may just generate a TIFF or
Yeah.
a JPEG or something. So.
The main thing, of course, is keep your intermediate images. You've probably got folders full of the images before you calibrate the image, after you calibrate the image, after you integrated it, the image after you, which is why you've got integration dot makes it. And then at that point, once you start doing your linears, you'll then save it with some of that applied usually, I guess.
Yeah.
And keep multiple stages, so you can always just go back to a previous stage. Disk space is cheap these days, when single images. If you've been doing planetary work with videos, then the space this stuff takes up is nothing. All right, well, thank you very much, Lynn. That's awesome, and pretty much what I was hoping to get from that. So that's
Yeah.
cool. You've already put stuff up on the Facebook page with the download?
I put the slides up on the announcement under a comment.
I might put them up again as a separate download.
It might-
Because people can download their slides, so they can. It's easy to look through it personally, of course.
I'm also wondering whether it's worth putting an article, putting them in the journal as well.
Maybe.
Maybe writing
Try and-
journal articles on PixInsight.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anyone wants to write a journal article on PixInsight, we'd like it to happen, of course.
Maybe I should do that.
Because, yeah,
Right.
sometimes it's a lot easier to read it,
Yeah.
follow along.